we're looking at the 2009-2010 NBA season. This is the first season we've brought Jordan to where Jordan, I don't think, has played against safely 95% of the NBA at this point. Like, Shaq's still there. And, like, there's a couple of guys that we were talking about. Let's look at the All-NBA for a good perspective of it. Because obviously Kobe played against him. LeBron obviously did not. So Kobe is the only one out here on the first team.
Yeah.
Kobe's the only one on the first team. Nash, dude, I don't think Dirk played against him.
Yeah, he did. Well, at least in
his rookie year, maybe. Duncan did. So it's a lot. It's a much slimmer number, right? So we're really getting into the hypotheticals here, right?
Yeah.
All NBA first team. Kobe Bryant and D.Wade are the guards.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like, because one of them is gonna get bumped.
Well, let's see. Let's talk about it, right? So
that's crazy.
Wade and Kobe. I assume they're both. Where is Wade? Is Wade's at the top of the NBA?
No. Huh? He's the scoring champion this year.
He is.
No, in 09 he's the scoring champion. My bad.
So he are 47 and 35. Lakers are obviously number one in the West. When we go, I want to see numbers. So Kobe 27, 5 and 5, 46%, 33% from three, 81% from the line. Wade 26 and a half, 5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, almost 2 steals, and hitting that over a block a game, shooting 48%.
Yeah.
Wade's gonna have to be the guy that drops, right?
That's all right.
And I want to see the scoring.
I have a little bit of bias towards that, but
no, I think Kobe's number one in the West, and he's like,
no, yeah. I mean,
I would never.
To me, it's obvious, but I'm like, to me,
I think you're fine with saying that. I don't think that's. I don't think
Kobe was
obvious.
In my mind, and in probably half the NBA world's mind, Kobe was the best player in the league that year. So
yeah. So Kevin Durant at 30.1 will not hold on to the scoring title. What is the pace? What's the average pace, Lynn?
92.7.
So Bulls are going to be over that, but it's slow.
Yeah.
Still slow, which is interesting. 92.7. So I think Jordan's going to get the scoring title here, more than likely.
Yes.
Because I think he'll be able to still get his 31 a game and put in damage. Because also, who's the leader in three-point shooting? What's the deal with threes? They're not too crazy now, right?
So,
2.5 is the most.
Can you go to the scoring again?
Yeah.
I'm curious. I feel like MJ, if he shoots 50%, it's going to be like right on the dot this year. I feel like.
What do you mean?
Because
at 30?
In terms, I'm sorry.
Right on the dot at what? 31, 30 points a game? What are we talking about?
No, 50%.
Oh, you're saying a shooting percent.
Yeah, his efficiency.
Okay.
I don't know if his efficiency is the same. Because you have much better defensive guards this year. Like Tony Allen is like a top defender in the league.
Right.
Like
Kobe's definitely all defense at this point. You're not going to
Wade is too.
Wade is. But Wade's a little smaller than MJ.
Yeah. But I mean, he's only 2 inches shorter. Like he definitely.
Kobe was able to use those 2 inches a lot against Wade.
Oh no, I know. I'm not saying, but like Wade definitely got like, it's basketball. They're gonna like there's gonna be times that Wade gets the best of Jordan. You know, like
Wade is just an athletic freak at this point too. Like those who don't. We're going on 10 years since Dwayne Wade's Flash era. You know what I mean? Like, this is Flash era Wade, and that guy, he jumps out of the gym for 6'4" and is fast as fuck.
A lot of people forget that he's the 3rd greatest shooting guard ever. Like, like a lot of people like think James Harden, just because James Harden is there and he's all flashy with the shooting and stuff, like people forget about Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was an elite guard, both defensively and offensively,
and an elite, one of the few elite, truly elite combo guards, where you could put him at the point guard, you'd be all right. Like, and he could play the point guard role while getting you buckets. He could beat Derrick Rose if necessary, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
I always appreciated that about his game, and he was a willing passer.
Yeah. So I definitely think it's harder. It's going to be much harder for Jordan than in the previous decade that he just faced, because now you have much more guards who can play defense, and then you also still have that same elite rotation of shooting guards you're going to have to face night in and night out. So
here's my case for why I think he would. I don't know about 54%. To say anybody's at a guard is going to shoot 54% every single time is a lot. But I think he would keep that maybe 51% shooting. And the reason is, above all else, the era of the big man is long dead. And there are no elite rim protectors outside of Dwight Howard. He's the only guy. Like, the next guy on the blocks list is Andrew Bogut. I wouldn't consider him an elite rim protector. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he's pretty good.
He's not like Dwight Howard's got a chance to make the Hall of Fame. Like, I wouldn't put Bogut in that category, or Josh Smith. Well, I mean, Josh Smith, he did single-handedly put the Clippers in the ground, right, Lindsay?
With Corey Brewer. Don't forget about Corey Brewer.
But these big men are absolute white dog shit in comparison to what.
Don't forget Chris Anderson.
Yeah,
Chris Anderson.
Birdman.
Yeah,
Birdman.
He definitely was a problem.
But point being, there are not elite rim protectors in this era, which means Jordan is coming for the fucking basket.
So the only reason this is my reason for it. Okay. If you look at LeBron James, who I'd argue is just as aggressive towards the rim, especially in this time of his career.
Right.
He's barely averaging 50% from the field.
But Jordan had a better jump shot, definitively, especially from the mid-range. And at this point, I would feel comfortable with that too.
Yeah, no, I agree. But that's why I said it would be like, I just think he would barely be hitting there. I don't think he's going to be giving you. He's not going to be as efficient as he was in the 90s.
Yeah. How many free throws did he get per game in the regular season? So at 31.5, he's getting to the basket 8 times. I think that could go up to 10 in this era, because the rules have now changed, right? There's no hand checking. There's no hand checking now. So the physical defense it's not the same at all.
Yeah.
You know? So you're basically allowing Jordan the opportunity to go unchecked. Like, you can't bring the physicality, and you're going to get more foul calls your way.
Yeah,
which is what leads to a higher free throws per game. And I think he would probably be in this 9-10 range with Durant, LeBron, these kind of guys.
In the same vein, though, about the hand checking, how does that affect the Bulls defensively?
Great question.
That's going to be a big problem.
It's going to be a big problem, mainly because you're just going to have. This is the big thing that we were talking about before, when we were in MJ's legacy breakdown, is what happens when you actually have to keep up with scoring with these other teams, right? Bulls are averaging how many points a game for the regular season here? 110 points a game, right? With a 95.6 pace. 100.
I feel like that's pretty close to what league averages.
They're going to be leading. They're going to be second in scoring behind the Phoenix Suns, right?
Yeah.
And that's the tail end of the 7 seconds or less era. The very end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part,
I'd argue the Bulls' pace is going to be slower in this during this I mean, I think they'll go more towards what the league pace is versus be the fastest team in the NBA. I don't feel like that's how.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously benefits Jordan, like I've said multiple times. I just think that, I don't know. I feel like you asked me a very good question, Lynn. I wonder.
That's a problem. But they thrived off that hand checking. Like Jordan would literally he would not allow you to move out of your spot because he would literally just be holding your waist.
Yeah. Imagine if Kawhi Leonard could do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, Kawhi Leonard's a perfect example, though, of how something would probably look for MJ, in my opinion, because he's also super long. He's got the big hands. He's got the tenacious demeanor and mentality.
Yeah.
And I think it would look similar. I wonder if that. Do you think Scottie becomes a better scorer in this era?
Probably. I mean,
Ken, let me ask you a more specific question. Scottie's at 17 for the regular season, but as we know, he's going to get over almost 22 in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming he gets a couple of more free throws a game, right? For fouls, whatever, because he's another guy, slasher, right? Do you think he can get to 25?
No.
Okay.
I don't see it. I look at him as like I think that 22-point range is this era is not that much different than what he dealt with. Like I'm sure like the defense is a little different, but in the playoffs it's the same. I think what they faced in terms of defense in the playoffs in the 90s is the same exact defense that you saw in the playoffs in the early. I mean,
yeah, in the early 2000s, sure, it's actually impossible.
In the 2000, yeah, I'm talking about 2010s.
That's impossible. It's literally the rules are different.
It doesn't. The rules in the playoffs versus the rules in the regular season are different. The reason they make the rules. I
don't see any hand checking in the playoffs, for example. That doesn't happen.
In 2010.
Yeah, like that wasn't really like they were really locking a lot of that down, which is why Nash immediately. Otherwise, it would have taken longer for a guy like Nash to win MVP, but it happened immediately.
But there's a reason why. Yeah, no, you're talking about the regular season. I'm talking about the playoff. Nash didn't play as good in the playoffs. Like it matters. Like he had a better team. Usually, that's what allowed him to go further. But
I don't feel comfortable saying that because I absolutely can't prove that the referees just were like rules are different in the playoffs. It's just hard to believe.
I watched it. Like
that's all. That's your opinion. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with that. But either way, I still think that it would affect the Bulls' defense. The question is, would it affect it to a point where they lose more games?
No. I think the East was very top heavy. It was those top 4 teams and then everybody else. So
can the Bulls win 60 games?
I'd say yes because I think they're way better than that Cleveland team. And that Cleveland team.
Who's on this team?
You had
very obvious LeBron James.
He had Booby.
And
you had Shaq. You had Delonte West. It was not the greatest team in the world.
Yeah, and they're the best defense in the league, right? If I serves me correct.
One of the top, yeah.
One of the slowest teams for pace. Top 10 in points allowed. And top 10 in defensive rating. So they're one of the best defensive teams. That's how they were able to do it.
Yeah.
So in the same division, I don't think the Bulls can win 60 games.
You think that Cleveland team is going to win more games than that Bulls team?
No, but I don't think either team can get to 60 wins with that team in their respective.
Yeah, team. I would expect Cleveland to lose more games.
I think it would look something like this. The Southeast Division here between the Magic and the Hawks here.
Yeah.
I think it would be like that where they hover around that 55 win total. I have no idea for a specific win total, but I definitely think that especially because Cleveland and Chicago are in the same division, that would greatly affect their chances of getting to 60.
Yeah. I just think I think I would if I had to put my money towards one of the teams hitting 60, I'd go with that Bulls team versus that Cleveland team. For sure.
How many threes per game are they making in Cleveland? I'm curious. The threes have not taken off to the moon yet. Like there's obviously
it's significantly more though. It's 4 to 5 times more threes than they were taking in the 90s. In that point of the 90s.
I think that's the thing that helps them with when you add the low pace and the 3-point shooting, that's how they win games like that. You know what I mean? It's interesting, like if any of Jordan's teams were ahead of their time with 3-point shooting, it would be much easier to put them in certain spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they just like Jordan looked at the 3-point shot as a novelty. Like
the whole thing is the 3-point shot didn't matter as much at this point of
in comparison to 10 years after this point. Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
Because it didn't really change. Because now when you look at a box score, you could literally tell before even like seeing the actual score. If you looked at a box score and you saw, all right, this team made 23s, they won the game.
It's still affecting the league though, because a team like the Magic's winning almost 60 games, chucking them.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, but they're losing in the playoffs when it matters the most because the 3-point shot. It was one of those things where you live and die by the threes.
They made the conference finals. I know what you mean. They don't win the championship, but they're one of the best teams in the league. That's for sure. That's all I was saying.
But up to that point, what people were saying in the media, and I just remember it, like in life, was you live and die by the three. If you, it was Golden State that changed that mantra and made it seem like it was more of an important thing to shoot the 3-point shot, because before it was looked at, if you're a jump shooting team, if you shoot a bunch of threes, you don't win. You're not going to win that way.
Yeah, and you know something though, even after that, after the Warriors had won, like 2018, for example, the Rockets and the Celtics both died by the three. Like it still happens in today's game more currently. So I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah.
Wow, LeBron almost swept this from an MVP standpoint.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think LeBron James stays the MVP. I think MJ having his second guy is going to be an issue in terms of when you nitpick in between LeBron and MJ, because LeBron legitimately doesn't have a second guy.
But as we had talked about in the 2001 year, Scottie during the regular season is still not considered a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Scottie
But
even if you look at his regular season stats, it's still significantly better than anybody in that Cleveland roster.
Yeah. Jordan's going to once again win the scoring title and the steals championship.
Yep.
He'll be, I think it's only him and Wade as guards over a block a game.
And I don't think he'd win Defensive Player of the Year over Dwight this year, because I think Dwight averages four blocks a game.
Assuming.
No, he averages 3.
Oh, he does? Okay. Thought there was a year that he averaged 4.
So just
I know he wins it 4 straight years in a row.
He does. But here, hold on. I'm on the page right now. Just to clarify, though, we said Cleveland would not win as many games as Chicago. That's what we both talked about a second ago.
I'd say probably about like 5 or something like that. Considering
that they're in the same division, Jordan's going to win the scoring title and the steals title, I think I'd give him the MVP. But they split the votes hard body. They definitely split the votes by a lot.
I'm not mad at that. He has a chance at Defensive Player of the Year as well. I
just think they're sucking guards' dick right now for Defensive Player of the Year. Like, it's all big men in the last few.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't think he'd be. I really do think that regresses the 3 almost 3 steals in a block in this era. I don't think he's doing that same thing against the guys he'll be facing.
I definitely think he steals the ball in the same way. Maybe not the block, but guys like D.Wade are still getting a block a game. Like, it's rare.
No, but I think 3 steals a game, I really do think it's a product of who he was facing. Like, every single team you're facing a top player. Like you're going against OKC, you're going against Kevin Durant, you're going against LeBron, you're going against Wade, you're going against Carmelo, you have way more superstars that you're going against.
Right, but he's not guarding all those guys directly, and I don't think that's going to affect his steals total. He's still also got the Darren Collisons of the world, and like the average players of this era that he's going to absolutely give 40 to. Like,
yeah, I just can't imagine
no hand checking. Like I
can't imagine him playing that same defense and that same offense in this league. I just think that you're a different animal at that point.
But it's from a pace standpoint, it isn't. Like it's not. It's the same pace. It's still a slow pace. We haven't done this.
Do you think he's that much better than Kobe Bryant and LeBron James at this point in his career?
Yes. In 1991, at age 27, yeah, I do. I definitely.
I don't think so.
I think he's way better than LeBron's going to be. I think this Jordan is better than this LeBron, and I think he's on the same level, but not the same level. But I think Miami LeBron's infinitely closer to a guy like Michael Jordan when you ask me a question like that. And with Kobe, I just think Kobe has to sacrifice to win more, and that that was a struggle for him during this point in time. But he's like dominating the league in terms of doing what he's doing, getting his superstar standard, and doing his thing. But I think Jordan is just insane. Like even when we look back at 1990, the season in question that we took this team from, he's the only guy that's like, on top of points, on top of steals, on like.
Who's leading the league?
Not the rule in his own era. So I feel comfortable saying that he'd be the exception to the rule here.
Who's he leading? Who's leading the league in steals in 2010?
Rondo with 2.3. This is the year where he breaks Kuzi's record for assists and steals from the Celtics, and he was doing that against a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Rondo has similar dimensions.
I could see it more. I could see it more like that. I could see it closer to 2 than 3 for sure.
I think he definitely gets at least 2.5 for sure. Because he's got so many of those. He's got, just like Miami does in a few years from now. It's all about transition dunks for this team. Like that's a big part of their offense. Is what they're doing in transition.
I mean, it's nitpicking. I personally don't think he would, but that's fine.
Do you think he would win the steals championship? See,
He'll be close.
You hold these guys with too much respect, in my opinion. I think the further we get away from this era, the more we're going to start to see like, oh, so this guy had a couple years before he gets to his prime. Like even though LeBron's going to win the MVP here, his prime is so subjective. For example, we picked his apex season 10 years from now because he's still going to be as quality of a basketball player, arguably a much smarter player a decade from now.
But that wasn't the best LeBron James.
We also picked that because of the team too.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we picked it because of the team, and the quality doesn't change that much. That
I agree.
If we're talking about pure LeBron James apex, it's probably anywhere between 3 to 5 years from now.
Right. But point is, it's not now. That's my point. Is that once you look at everything, like Kevin Durant, another guy, he's a baby. You know what I mean? He's fucking 21 years old. He's still leading the league in scoring. He's doing amazing. But like when we look at the grand scheme of his career later, like I just think it's interesting to look at this.
I think you're looking at it as numbers more than people, because when you have to go against these quality guys every single day, it's different.
And you wouldn't say that about Michael fucking Jordan? Like,
no,
I don't think.
All I'm saying is some of his numbers have to regress.
Being on Earth.
All I'm saying is some of his numbers have to regress. I don't think. I think he can still give you the scoring.
He was averaging 37 a game against like arguably the most competitive era in basketball.
But that was also with the highest pace, arguably like a top 10 pace all time.
Right. I understand what you're saying, but point being, he was still absolutely a top 3 NBA player during that time. And I don't think that would change at this point.
Oh, of course. I think he'll be top. I think he'll be the best player in the league.
So if
I agree with that.
But you don't think he would be head and shoulders the best player in the league?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, see, that's where you and I disagree. Because I definitely think he would.
No doubt. Crazy.
Sure.
Definitely not.
100%. He's head and shoulders the best player in the league. He's
absolutely not.
Definitely the best scorer.
Not in a league where there's a player named Kobe Bean Bryant. I would never say that. I think he's better. I think he's better than Kobe. I've said it multiple times. I feel like you have to nitpick to get to that point. I don't think it's great.
You think 1990, 91, the first championship Michael Jordan, you do not think he's that much better than this particular year of Kobe Bryant?
No.
Man.
Kobe hit 7 game-winning shots this year. He beats the Celtics. Kobe, just to put it in perspective for anybody who thinks I'm a Kobe tard, Kobe hits 7 game-winning shots this year. One against his arch rival, the Boston Celtics. Then to later beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. During this span, he's destroying teams. He went against the Phoenix Suns and completely demolished them at their home and tapped their coach on the ass and told them bye-bye. This Kobe Bryant is not – no, I'm not. You're not about to tell me Michael Jordan is head and shoulders against that guy.
I mean, he's definitely a better defender. He's definitely a better scorer. He's arguably a better team player, depending on who you ask. It's just – I don't know. And Phil Jackson could be the one to say
he's better. You could say he's better, sure. I agree with
who's
that.
A better
but head and shoulders? You know what head and shoulders? Head and shoulders.
Let's break it down.
Do you think Kobe Bryant? Do you think Kobe Bryant's head and shoulders over D.Wade?
Yes.
I guess I'm not. When you have a top five list, that list is not saying number 1 is head and shoulders over 5. Usually,
not to you, but for me, that's how I rank it.
I mean, if you telling me you see these two playing in the gym, you're gonna look at Kobe and be like, oh, he's way better than Wade. Hell no. That's what head and shoulders is. When you look at him play, you say this guy can't do shit with this guy. That's what that is. That's crazy to me.
Do you think? But you also don't think Jordan's averaging 30 against either of these guys, right?
No, I think he is.
So then I don't understand how. Somewhere it doesn't compute for me. He's gonna kill them in scoring, right? He's gonna probably kill them on defense.
No, he's not.
Where am I missing?
His advantage is having Scottie Pippen. If Scottie Pippen wasn't there, they'd be putting 30 on his neck.
But
that's a fact.
But it's widely known that he is the best defensive player of his era, and by a country mile. You
think he's a better defensive player than Scottie Pippen?
I always thought that.
You're drunk. You're drunk if you think he's better. Hell no. Hell no, he's not better than Scottie
Johnson and has the same defense. The same.
Scottie can guard any position on the court. Yeah, but Jordan couldn't.
But that's. I don't agree with that either. I don't think Scottie Pippen's out there guarding Patrick Ewing and centers and shit. That's not.
He could guard them better than Jordan would.
I guess, but that's. Still,
and he'd do it enough to where it's gonna bother them, and he's gonna be able to have impact on the game. If Jordan was guarding those same people,
he's still a better defender than Kobe and a better defender than Wade, in my opinion.
I agree with that, but that does not mean you're head and shoulders better than another. Do you know what head and shoulders is? Head and shoulders is you watch this person play and you watch this person play at the same time, and you say, "Oh my God, this guy can't do nothing with this guy," and that's your not the case.
Of what that means, though, that you're telling me what your definition is, and I'm
head and shoulders. So what does head and shoulders?
My definition of head and shoulders is who's a better scorer, Kobe or Jordan?
So you're saying even if slightly?
You didn't know. You're asking something else. Answer my questions first. Who's the better defender, Kobe or Jordan?
Jordan.
Okay. Who's a better scorer, Kobe or Jordan?
Jordan.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know.
Teammate?
I don't know. The only reason I'd argue that is because I think Kobe's a much better 3-point shooter than he is.
That's fine. I'm totally not arguing shooting. I agree with you, as a matter of fact. Who's a better scorer, Kobe or Jordan? I didn't say shoot. Because I think Kevin Durant's a better shooter than Michael Jordan. But I wouldn't call him a better scorer.
Quick question. I need to have understanding. Who's a better scorer, Kevin Durant or LeBron James?
Kevin Durant.
So to me, Kobe Bryant.
Okay. To me, all three of those are Jordan, and that's why he's over the top for me. And I go down the list, and that's my definition of what over the top is. I go through each thing, and I go, he's not really a better scorer than Jordan. He's not really a better defender. I don't.
So you think Michael Jordan is head and shoulders over the entire basketball ranking then?
For 2010, yes.
No. In NBA history, he's better than everybody, head and shoulders.
Yes, I agree. Yes, it's kind of how it works. Like,
that's crazy.
It's the truth. Like, he is just. There was no other guard to be as efficient as he was.
This is why I throughout that legacy breakdown, I had to point out the parts where Jordan fails because people don't do that,
but that doesn't.
Things like this is why I had to say shit like that.
You asked me who the best.
Things like this is why I have to say shit like that because niggas act like MJ doesn't shit and it smells. That's not
what I said. You asked me.
That's literally how niggas act. Y'all bugging.
That's not. But you're being
he's head and shoulders over Kobe Bryant. You're bugging.
You're just crazy.
You're butthurt.
You're fucking so butthurt.
Yo, in the comments, please tell me. Do y'all all agree that Jordan is head and shoulders?
People get mad at you for bringing up Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan in the same sentence.
Yeah, please give me more comments though. Feed me because y'all bugging, fucking bugging.
You
he's head and shoulders over everybody in the league.
A high ideological standpoint. It's incredible. Like Michael Jordan is head and shoulders the best player of all time.
We about to see that. Let's put him through them. Let's put him through the playoffs. Which
team do you want to take from the East in the first round?
We have to go against a bad team. So,
I mean, yeah.
I'm mad because Jordan ain't gonna get to go against all the smoke that he's supposed to go against because he's lucky. He gonna have to.
The Heat.
No, because
that puts him directly against Wade. We got who the hell is on this Bucks team? Is Monta Ellis on this team yet?
Yeah,
I think
he's still on the Warriors. Let me see.
No, he is on the Warriors.
No, this is Michael Reds.
Yeah,
Michael Reds on this team shooting threes. I don't know who John Salmons is, but sounds familiar.
Does Wade lose in the first round this year?
Bogut, who I made fun of. Yeah, believe so. I think he loses to Boston. Am I bugging?
I thought he did, but
Celtics over Heat in 5 games.
And that's when Wade does the hand thing, and he put the 45 piece.
Now that one I got in LeBron's legacy breakdown. I remember that. But let's take him against. Let's just do the Heat because it puts him against Wade. I like the idea where he goes against different shooting guards.
Yeah.
Who else is on this team? Obviously, Haslam's on this team. No Shaq. Shaq's already gone. Is Shaq on Cleveland this year?
Yes.
That'll be fun. So, Wade, 26 in the regular season. In the playoffs, jumps to 33 on 56% shooting in that first round.
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly, this year is what made me a Wade fan. I watched that Celtics series and I was just like, this guy is freaking insane.
It's just so, like, it's crazy how people always talk shit about Jordan losing in the first round and all that stuff when literally every person who has a team like this is what their shit looks like. Like, we could run through all types of years through NBA history. All these guys who have Hall of Fame historic scoring seasons, when they go on the first round like this, it's always because their teams look like this.
I just want to clarify it because it literally, there's a reason they do it. They don't usually try to shit on him that way. It's more so because people like to act like Michael Jordan only won 6 championships and nothing else happened. Like when you talk to people, all they talk about is the 6-0. And it's like, no, he lost. He had years. He had a 15-year career, and there was 9 years that he did not win. And y'all act like it doesn't exist.
It's because people get stuck on the fact that once he climbed the mountain, he didn't really ever fall off the mountain.
Honestly, but then when he fell off,
I think it has less to do with that, and it has more to do with Nike. If I'm being real serious for a second, if I'm really trying to justify why that happens, I think it's Nike. Everyone, when you look back at documentaries documenting Jordan's come up, there is a direct correlation between those goddamn shoes he was selling and this untarnishable legacy. Like, it coincides with each other. The guy was the fucking golden boy in terms of bread making in the NBA at this point, right? So, like, a lot of that legacy was built by those awesome Nike commercials, number one. And then once he gets to the 90s and television hits that point, the ratings for all Jordan's finals are through the roof because television is at its absolute apex at that point. And I think all of that stuff leads into that. Because think about it. If LeBron's beginning started with Jordan in the mid 80s, I think a lot of LeBron's first career would be forgotten too. Like, I don't even think a lot of people remember Jordan got that MVP in the mid 80s. I don't even think people, you know what I mean? And I could compare that to
a lot of people count it when they talk about his greatness.
I mean, they count it and they talk about it, but hear me out. In the same way, a lot of people don't think about, like, I don't hear anybody talk about the first Cleveland stint with LeBron and how he won those 2 MVPs anymore. Like in 2021, today, that doesn't really come up that much when we're talking about LeBron James. It's always like, he didn't do so well in Cleveland the first time, then Miami, the decision, and then he went back to Cleveland, you know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying about when I mean that? So
I know people still count when they're talking about LeBron James history, they talk about his 4 MVPs. They talk about his 10 finals runs. They talk about all of that, and that Cleveland was in that. So that
the first Cleveland wasn't in that. When you talk about the 10 finals runs specifically,
yeah, he went to one of those finals.
That wasn't in a row. Like I always think of the 8 finals in a row.
Yeah, but when they talk about he's 4 and 10, but you're counting that Cleveland. You're not taking it out.
But what I'm saying is, I think the reason why people remember that so vividly is, number one, it happened more recently, and number two, fucking you can go right now on YouTube and watch every single one of those games if you wanted to. And it's so much harder to do with Jordan's early career. Like, I worked my ass off to edit in all the fucking shit from the beginning of his career. I had to dig hard. Like,
I just feel like, specifically with Jordan, people add in all the good and forget about the bad. And I just think it's corny.
I also
circumstances behind that.
But to add to your before you start, Lindsay, my bad. Yeah. But to add to that is, if I would say you're right if they try not to add in what he did and what happened with Orlando in '95.
Yeah,
they always they try to sweep that under the rug too. Oh no, he wasn't 100%
up until the Last Dance. Yeah, for sure. That's the most I'd seen it talked about was in the Last Dance when they brought it up.
But Lindsay was gonna say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Dario also just has a little bit of like fan exasperation with the constant comparison between MJ and Kobe. So with MJ getting all of the laurels, maybe he's just a little bit.
No, my whole thing is I've my whole thing is I've argued because I have the side of what I hear from LeBron fans, what I hear from Jordan fans. So my whole thing is I know what people say because I had to argue it all the time. So that's why I just feel like no one could tell me that this wasn't said to me, because I've heard it for years when having to talk about MJ and people just making it seem like shit was like like people literally act like MJ shit don't stink, and that shit smells just like ours, and he freaking and he
I've never ran into a person that's like that, like that, because I've never had a basketball argument with someone who just doesn't know. I just stop. I just stop while I quit while I'm ahead. But like, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't know.
People look at MJ as like,
I have such a weird perspective.
You just did it. You literally think MJ is head and shoulders. No, you said MJ is head and shoulders over everybody in the league.
Time out. Yeah, but that's just because you don't agree with me. Doesn't mean that I think that because of the reasons you're saying. That's where you're full of shit. Like,
no, that's not what I said.
I didn't say MJ's shit doesn't stink. I said he's the best player of all time. In my opinion.
The confusion is that as soon as he said MJ is head and shoulders above everybody in the NBA, you went,
continue.
Everybody does not say anything bad about MJ. Nobody talks about all the things that he did wrong. So that's where the confusion comes from, because your initial reaction after you went through the GOAT conversation was to bring up the fact that you disparaged MJ on purpose because nobody does.
Which is not what I fucking said at all.
I then asked, so based on his, because I then asked, based on your breakdown of how what head and shoulders over everybody is, do you think Jordan is head and shoulders over everybody all time? And he said yes. And then that's when I said that, because for you to think he's...
You never asked why. You just assumed that I said, oh, his shit doesn't stink, and that's obviously why. You never even bothered to...
No, because you already told me what you already broke down what you said. He plays better defense than everybody. He plays better offense than everybody. And I can't remember what the other thing was. And
I said he's a better scorer. I said he's a better defender than the guys we were talking about, in Wade and Kobe and those guys. And I thought he was a better defender than Scottie, especially at the peaks, right? And especially in this 90 to 91 era. And that, in no point did I say the 80s doesn't exist, his shit doesn't stink. No, I didn't say any of that. I did no point did I say that. But it's my opinion that for those reasons, I put him at that point.
To me, he's not that much better than Kobe, to where I'm watching both of them play and I'm saying, wow, this guy is significantly better than Kobe Bryant. It's just
crazy, because when you were talking through the legacy breakdown and you were looking through Jordan last year, you were telling me about how much less effort Jordan puts into it than Kobe does, and how he just gets everything in the flow of the offense. So that's interesting. And all right, that's cool. But what I always said was MJ's played much better defense than Kobe. I agree with that. Right.
Kobe forced more. He was more so one that attacked to get his. You could see his ferocity. Like he wanted to score on you. He wanted to destroy you. Yeah. MJ definitely flowed within the offense, and it was just a different way of playing. Sure, he played within the offense, but that doesn't make me feel like you're way better than Kobe just because of that.
But I'm taking the Bulls.
Sweep.
I just don't know who else scores besides Wade. I feel like I keep repeating myself in playoff matchups.
Wade is gonna put the same 45 piece he put on the Boston. He's gonna put that on MJ and Scottie. And I'm saying this because I don't disrespect people, and Wade is a top 3 shooting guard all time, and I know damn well that defense that he had to face in Boston was just as good, or you can argue better than that Chicago defense.
By the rules, it's impossible for that to be true. So
that's fine, but But I don't think
I'm going with the sweep because I don't think that there's any other player that's going to do well, regardless of how good Dwayne Wade is. And I just think that the team's worse, and he's not going to be able to save them.
There's no rim protection on this team. Like, Jermaine O'Neal is past his prime at this point. He's 31. He's already gone through years of the trial, apparently, with the basketball, which I didn't know about until that documentary came out on Netflix. But man was in trial for mad long, so he's not the same guy. But that's their best rim protector. And then the other guy they have is Heat legend Joel Anthony, pronounced scrub, one of my least favorite players in 2K history. I think Jordan I think this is probably a Jordan stat line. I don't know about 56%. That's fucking wild to me. That's the thing. It's hard to say. Like, I don't disagree that he would not put up 45. I think he would probably get a 45 game. But if he's going to get a 45 game, I think Jordan will definitely get 1 or 2 of them in a 7-game series through 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, and like I'm not saying he's gonna. I said Wade isn't. I gave the Heat and the Bulls in 5.
He also made 3 threes per game in the playoffs. That we only played 5 games. Still, he was taking them. It's impressive.
The only reason I got the Bulls in 5 is because I think Wade, especially this Wade, I think he's gonna give you at least one of those games where it's just you like when you have an all-time great player like that, you can give him a game. And even when their back's against the wall, you can give them a game because they will probably have a game where they're unconscious. And
that's what I was about to say. It's easier to get unconscious like that when nobody can fuck with you physically. Like, it's harder to, you know what I mean? When there's no hand checking and you can't really, like, unless you're Kobe or one of those guys who are like, remember that story with Damian Lillard where Damian Lillard was like, Kobe came on the floor and just like got real physical with me, and the refs just swallowed their whistle.
They would do the same thing with Jordan.
I think if that's what you meant earlier, if that's what happens in the playoffs, then I can agree with you. That makes sense. I just thought
I watched that. That you cannot tell me that Boston Lakers series was not a physical series where there were whistles swallowed and they let them fight. Like they were fighting on the court pretty much like the way that they were playing a physical ass game. Like
Game 7 like that. Game 7 was for sure like that. But then again, a lot of Game 7s are like that. I feel like the majority of Game 7s are like grinded out shit shows. No one brings their jump shot to Game 7 for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
Okay, but I do think with the superstars, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess they do swallow their whistles to an extent with the higher players, like the all-star guys. I would say, for sure.
Well, definitely during the regular season they do that too. But like with certain things, but in the playoffs in particular, I feel like they swallow their whistles significantly more than in the regular season. The reason they changed the rules is so that you can have more viewership throughout the year, not throughout the playoffs. You get the viewership no matter what throughout the playoffs. It doesn't there's a reason that the 98 playoffs was the highest rated, the highest viewed finals ever, and we had the you could argue a more fun, sorry to be proper English, a more fun game to watch in the Warriors, but it didn't bring in more eyes because of it. Like people like to see obviously Michael Jordan.
No, I feel you. For me, it's just like you never know how many people watch those games on the internet though when it comes to ratings.
Yeah.
I always think about that.
But they count that though. They count streams.
12 million people were watching WWF in 1998. Like so many motherfuckers were watching television.
Yeah. But they count streams towards towards a lot of.
Yeah, but a lot of people also get like illegal streams, and those don't count.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing. When you combine The Last Dance, the fact that it was widely known that it would probably be Jordan's last run, plus the television stuff, plus the everything that you were mentioning, it is why the ratings or whatever. Also, by round 3, people were fucking annoyed with Cleveland versus Golden State. At least from my perspective. Like, I know I was like that. I know people that I was talking to that were like, do we even have to watch the regular season? It's just like, and I got to that point, inevitably. Lindsay was enjoying a bet. I never forget, she was watching Celtics Clippers one of those years. And I just looked at her and I went, none of this matters. I'll see you in June.
I wanted to fucking punch him.
Yeah, very.
It's so
pessimistic.
I got so pessimistic about it.
Yeah, so miserable.
God forbid I enjoy a fucking basketball game, you dick.
But who's going against them in the second?
We have Cleveland going against them. That's what it would have to be.
We're not putting Cleveland. Oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we could.
I really would rather them go against Orlando or the Celtics, to be honest, because I feel like Cleveland.
This is called hypotheticals for a motherfucking reason.
Yeah, let's put them against Orlando.
So this is a team that Jordan. A lot of people thought this type of team would give Jordan a ton of fits, and that Bulls team a ton of fits, because everyone during Jordan's era was always like Hakeem, and those Rockets, those shooting Rockets,
Yeah.
You got Dwight Howard at his apex, I would say.
Yes.
This is the year before is his apex.
It's the year after, but
18 and 13,
22 and 14. Yeah.
Shooting 61% on the season. Playoff numbers goes to 18 and 11, 3.5 blocks a game. Same thing, 61%.
Yep.
Savagery. 2 guys making over 2 threes a game, and Michael Petrus and Jameer Nelson. You got JJ 20 minutes a game on this team. He could shoot. Vince, just out of his prime, getting you 15 points a game. But I remember Vince on this team was like nice.
Yeah,
like he had cool finishes.
And he had a bunch of game winners and shit too.
Yeah,
I remember.
He was a big.
He was their closer.
There were a lot of people on television that thought the Magic were going to come out of the East for that reason.
Yeah. Yep. And for that same reason, I have Magic in 6.
Wow.
No.
I think, can we not act like the 3-point shot does not matter significantly in this series?
That's not what I would argue. My argument would be the fact that I just don't feel like this team led by Dwight Howard, who I don't think is as good as an Hakeem Olajuwon, who we believe that Rockets team would have been beat by this Bulls team, should beat this Bulls team. Like I just don't see it.
I'd agree, because if Hakeem was here instead of Dwight, it would be a sweep. But because we're playing in a completely different era where they shot almost double the threes that Hakeem Rockets team. Before, the Hakeem Rockets their 3-point shooting didn't matter as much because they were only making about 5 or 6 a game. Here you got a team who's making about 10 more a game. Like that matters significantly when you're counting up all the points and you're saying, oh, they got 30 points, 40 points off of threes. Like this team could get hot as shit.
Yeah. And they did.
I think that and I think that matters, especially since they don't have anybody in the inside to really stop Dwight. And to that capacity, I feel like Dwight Howard will be and he'll be a defensive threat for MJ he can't just drive to the basket and dunk on Dwight. Like I know Kobe did, but Kobe caught him slipping.
It has happened.
Yeah, but Kobe caught him slipping. You're not gonna like. I've seen Dwight block LeBron in the year before. LeBron went for a dunk and Dwight stopped him at the rim. And
that's the thing I wanted to mention. This is because Lindsay said the way Lindsay mentioned Dwight Howard's name. I just need this. This needs to be said because the Dwight Howard that we know today is very different than the Dwight Howard we're talking about right here. This guy was by head and shoulders the best center in basketball, and unless you ask Shaq O'Neal. The best center in basketball at this time. And then this team was just led by Stan Van Gundy, still coaching this team, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yes. And it was literally Dwight on the inside, cleaning up the glass for, all the 3-point shots that were going up. I wish I could get offensive rebounding numbers here. Yeah. But it's Dwight on the inside. The reason why he can't get to over 20 points a game is because he has no moves on the block. Like he just does this, and it's a dumbass running hook. Shaq likes to say about the Georgetown boys all had. But your point about the threes is really interesting because that's something that I do think matters immensely.
Yeah, and I also want to add, because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, Phil Jackson figured it out with Kobe Bryant and the Lakers just the year before. The difference is Phil Jackson doesn't have the same twin towers that he had. He had Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol to counteract Dwight Howard. He doesn't really have that.
Yeah, they had a bad matchup in terms of size. I agree. Yeah, that's a really good point, man.
That's why I'm not gonna lie, just because y'all pissed me off. I was like, let's do the Magic, just because I had a lot of points against the Magic, but I figured it would be better for him to go through Cleveland and then Boston, because it'll probably be better for him to lose in the next round, not this round. But whatever.
I am not. This is the
3-point shooter is gonna be a problem, and he had and Jameer Nelson is actually going to be an issue in that series. Jordan didn't play that great against like super small, fast guards, and Jameer Nelson is going to be spreading the shit out of the floor. Like he was nice. Like people don't even know who Jameer Nelson is. Look back at the 2009 NBA playoffs, and that dude was like, he was fire, and I hated him because I remember having to root against that nigga. Like that shit got me tight.
JJ Redick also runs people off the floor with the way that he plays off the ball.
But this isn't that JJ Redick. He's not at that point yet. He's getting hooped on in Orlando.
And he's just like a spot up. Yeah. But Michael Pietrus is a solid defender. Like, I know. Like, I still think Jordan could wall on him just like Kobe did the year before. But he's gonna make you work. Like, it's not like you just get easy. You're gonna have easy points. Kobe still shot.
The like Nelson one was for sure a good one. Like, and Dwight. Right, he's super athletic. He's only 24. He can go up and contest most shots at the rim. Right, he's a killer rebounder. He is Horace Grant size, which does
not
help.
The athleticism. Yeah.
No, I agree. But Horace Grant did do well with guys like this. Because he did it for the Magic also after he left the Bulls.
Yeah.
I think I could see. Yeah, because also the Bulls weren't guarding the three well either. Like if you go to 90-91, right? And we look at the threes, it's a different world. But they're near the bottom ranked shooting the three, and they're near the bottom ranked against it, right? 20th and under, not out of the top or out of the top 15. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take the Magic in 7, but I think Jordan's going to get 35, like 35, 5 and 5, something like that. But I just don't. Again, when you talk about the 3-point shooting, who the fuck else is stepping up here?
Yeah, because this is one of those teams that you like. The Magic is the only team of this year really that you can use that 3-point shooting argument, and it makes sense. Like because they're shooting more threes, but not significantly. But the Magic,
it's like
they're built around it. That's what they're literally they're like the advanced version of the. And I think I mentioned it in the '94 series where I said if we had that Rockets team shooting the volume of threes that Magic's team did, it would be completely different. But
I it's really interesting because like that is the one thing with these hypotheticals when we've done them previously, where it's like, how do they combat that, or how, like the older players specifically, like the older teams, like they haven't seen nothing like that Magic team, nothing. The closest would be the Rockets, like you said, and it's just still Akeem making all the tough shots, not the shooters.
Yeah.
So that's
not to mention, like we only mentioned Jameer Nelson. Like Hito Turkle. I don't know if he's still in that Magic team. Hito,
there's multiple guys taking and making threes on this team. Three guys above 2 a game with Rashard Lewis, like who was nasty, huge, tall, taller than Scottie Pippen, could shoot over him.
Wait, right? Is he the guy who was in that big 3 that we saw?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, he's big.
Oh, Rashard Lewis is dead nice too. Like I remember
we saw him live at the big 3. That was
he was taking he had like some enhancement drugs too that he was using.
Although I will say this. I hate seeing the memes or the internet pictures on social media where they have Rashard Lewis and Ray Allen like this, and it's like y'all forgot about this two devastating dynamic duo. And I'm like, yeah, I know why. Because you guys didn't do fucking anything. Shut up.
Yeah.
Just shot threes a little bit more than the other people.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Like on the Sonics?
Yeah.
Like you forgot that they were a bottom tier team, but whatever. Like they never made the playoffs. Like
Lindsay, what were you going to put the Bulls at? Because you don't think the Bulls lose this series. So what do you think?
Well, no, your arguments make sense about the 3-point shooting. I just thought it was gonna
be a great case, I must say.
Yeah.
I didn't
think it was gonna be like a crazy win. I thought it was gonna go to a bunch of games. I didn't see the 3-point shooting being that big of a difference at this point yet, but I guess it is for this team.
It was strictly off hatred of what you guys did to me the last series. So I
accept it. You turned it into good content. I'm happy about it.
Thank you. I'll try sometime.
I'll take Magic in 7.
I definitely got him in 6. Yeah. Well, at least it's good. Jordan doesn't lose in the finals, so it keeps him at his GOAT status. Let's keep on. I'm throwing shade this whole year. I don't go. But let's say for some whatever reason,
I love when you do this.
He beats the Magic and come to but Petty.
No, after we have the hypothetical player losing, you just go, well, somehow the whole Magic just die or something. They can put you in plane crash. And they got to pull up the next team.
Let's say somehow that happens, and they have to face this Boston Celtics team. Guys, what do you guys think would happen if they face this team?
This hurts my heart because this is probably even more than the championship team. This might be all in all my favorite team of all time.
Yeah,
like this was the team that made me fall in love with basketball. And
so why does it hurt your heart?
Because I don't know. I think this team plays into a team like the Bulls' hands a little bit. Like, it's definitely stacked and more talented than the Bulls team, but it's grinded out. It's a grinded out thing. Ray Allen and Paul Pierce are going to have problems with Scottie and MJ, especially Ray Allen. Like, Paul Pierce is not a slouch from a defensive standpoint, but he's not like, I don't know. He gets a high.
Paul Pierce could guard.
He gets overrated because of what happened with LeBron, but I think that's more on LeBron than Paul Pierce personally. Especially when you hear Paul Pierce after his career. That guy is a lunatic. Like,
yeah. Seriously. Paul Pierce can guard Scottie Pippen 100%. I don't think
he's a little bit smaller than Scottie, but I don't think Scottie's going to, like, eat him.
He went head-to-head with LeBron James and did well.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Paul Pierce had 40-point games on LeBron's head when LeBron was one of the best defenders in the league. So it's definitely Paul Pierce is not a slug. At the time, I was calling Paul Pierce a top 4 player in the league.
What's that badge in 2K? The fucking badge where if you go against somebody who's a top 5 stat rated player, you get like a bonus. What's that fucking thing called?
I don't know.
I don't think it's in
I've
this.
Never heard of that.
It's in one of the older ones. It'll be on your screen. But essentially, it's a badge where it's like you step up your competition against the guys. Paul Pierce is what won my heart with thousands of times where he's done that. Like, he was a big step up to his competition guy. Also, crapped his pants in the NBA Finals. That happened.
Yeah.
Hilarious story.
So what would you put the Bulls to win in the series? I'm assuming you have the Bulls winning.
I got Bulls in 6. But you see, if Kevin Garnett was more dominant offensively, I think I would take Celtics in 7. But one of the biggest things that would frustrate the living shit out of me as a fan of this team was they would never give Garnett the ball, even if he was hot, a lot of the time. Like, in the first year against you guys when we won, they definitely did a little more of that because he was still moving athletically. But after that injury the next year, they like stopped. He's very obviously the third scoring option, and you know, with Rondo facilitating the offense, I don't know. I think Kevin Garnett, if he was a little bit younger or a little so he's 33 here. You give me 28-year-old KG who's still getting over 20 points a game. I think it's a much harder matchup for the same reason we were talking about with Orlando. Just because there's a lot of guys who can shoot threes on this team too. Not nearly Orlando, but still a bunch of guys shooting at least a 3 a game and doing it.
I like that argument for KG for sure, but I personally have the Celtics in 6. I think that Jordan having to run around screens and guard Ray Allen for whoever the hell is guarding him too, whether you want to put Scottie or
I brought that up last season.
I don't think Ray Allen's efficiency changes at all with Michael Jordan guarding him because pretty much, I mean, it wasn't like the craziest efficiency anyways, but what Ray Allen does has nothing to do with a person guarding him. Like, unless you really if Michael Jordan is actually running around those screens, sure, Ray Allen might not.
91 MJ probably is. My last dance MJ is probably not.
Yeah. So let's say 91 is. Yeah. MJ's efficiency is down to super low now because there's no way in hell you're going to tell me he's going to run around with Ray Allen and also give you 30, 35 points a game.
And there's that's the case, his career that will happen because when he went against Reggie, his shit went down. He still put up the points, but his efficiency, to your point, went down.
Yeah, sure. And then you got a Paul Pierce who can put up points on Scottie. I understand it seems weird because Paul Pierce is like a slow moving guy and stuff, but he put up points on guys who were lockdown defenders at the time.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah. So I'm not about to disrespect Paul Pierce and say that he can't do what he's done to to LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, some of the best defenders in the league. He's like, I'm sure he had Tony Allen guarding him in freaking practice all day, and you can't tell me Scottie Pippen is that much greater than Tony Allen.
Yeah.
So I think that he'd still be able to do what he has to do, even if Ray Allen somehow. I still think Ray Allen's getting his shit no matter what. It's just what it's going to do is make Jordan tired of shit. Ray Allen's still going to get his shit, and then Jordan has to somehow play his part on the other side. Now you got two Goliaths on the other side of the court when you have Jordan trying to drive, because this is not the same Jordan that is a mid-range specialist, like I was trying to say before. He's more of driving to the basket. That's where his efficiency is. And You're gonna have Kevin Garnett and Perkins, who's averaging almost 2 blocks a game.
Yeah.
Right? Is that two? One. Is that the playoffs? Yeah. 1.5 blocks a game.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have issues with that, and then he's gonna also have Tony Allen guarding you throughout the whole series. You're gonna have Tony Allen and Ray Allen guarding you throughout the whole series. It's not gonna be easy for MJ. I think I see where the efficiency is gonna be down. I'm definitely seeing him shoot under 50%, 100%. I think he's gonna shoot under 48% too, because Tony Allen is no slouch at all.
I just wish that they kept those stats for Jordan for
his splits and shit?
His distance splits, but they just don't have it until his second three-peat. They just don't have it. I'd love to be able to get you that answer, because I agree with you that he was definitely inside out with his play style for sure, but I can't. I would love to be able to say to you, those 990 field goals, what percentage of them was from what distance? Because that would be able to help me immensely with my case. Because right now I can't go back at you with, he was still shooting pretty decent from the mid-range. Because I know he was. You don't shoot 54% by accident at 6'6". You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not a center. But I guess
But even when you watch those games, he was not playing. I watched those finals games. I watched those playoff games, and he was not playing. He was playing more to attack the basket, and then he would hit you with some mid-range or turnaround jump shots every once in a while. It was not. It was like if there was. It was like a 80-20 split, 70-30 split. It was definitely not 50-50.
You know what I imagine it looks like in my head? Sorry, I cut you off. You know what?
No, you're good. No, you're good.
It probably looks like Westbrook. Does that make sense? Like when Westbrook,
yes, yeah,
prime,
not the same kind of thing, but
you know what I mean. Though the game is, he's driving on transition, he's getting up and down the court, he's dribbling, weaving through defenders, getting dunks, whatever.
Exactly,
and we'll occasionally break that up with the elbow jump shot. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or Jordan's baseline jump shot, something like that.
I agree, 100%.
I think he'd still be able to get that 50% because I think Paul Pierce is going to be on Scottie because of the physical dimensions of Scottie and Paul Pierce, which leaves Ray Allen to guard and Rondo,
Tony Allen. You're forgetting about Tony Allen.
On this team,
that's why.
He's a great defender. I agree with that.
He's the best defender in that.
The difference between Jordan and LeBron against this team in particular, though, is the Celtics got into LeBron's mental shit, made him crumple. That might happen with other players on the Bulls. If you want to say that could happen with Scottie. I don't know if it would happen with Scottie to that extent as LeBron, but with Jordan, it's like a fucking mental lockbox in here. There's no, unless you beat him thoroughly, unless you beat him 3 games in a row or some shit like that. And even then, it's just you're not, KG's trash talk will have no effect. And stuff like that, because between Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, those were 2 of the 5 best trash talkers of the era on the same team. Just getting into these youngins' heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Rasheed
Wallace. I just saw him too. I forgot about that. Rasheed Wallace. Rondo, you already know he's not pussy. It's Perkins.
To me, there's no way he shoots 50%. I'm sorry. There's no Tony Allen and Ray Allen are gonna be on his ass. And then you can't drive. It's gonna be extremely difficult. And then I just don't see Scottie Pippen being as effective as he should be. He's not gonna counteract Paul Pierce.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. I guess my question is, we know Jordan puts up 31-11 in the finals. We know that. We know that during this playoffs, he trusts his teammates. I guess my question is, I don't even know the answer to this. Do because that's really going to be the X factor in these situations are how much are the teammates really giving you? And it's hard to say. And it goes back to why Jordan's considered the greatest player of all time. But in this case, it's to his detriment.
Yeah.
Jordan did so much of the scoring. He handled so much of a percentage of the team scoring that it's hard to justify saying, oh, yeah, I can see John Paxson going from 9 points to 12, 15 a game. Like, I would love to be able to say that, but I can't.
And that goes back to like our text thread from a couple months ago where I was like, that's where I think Jordan was, when we do these legacy breakdowns, we really do see that these players were great because of the eras that they were in.
Yeah.
Like the era that Jordan was in, it was pretty much you have your guy against their guy and you have a team built around them and then let's see who wins. Now there's so much extra, you have so much other stars in your team and all this other shit that it makes it more difficult. Like Jordan being able to score 50 and win so many times in the playoffs, it's an anomaly. It's harder to do now than it was then. And it's because you have so much better teams now in terms of how they're built with the superstar structures and everything, that if you have one guy scoring 50, you're most likely going to lose because team basketball is going to play its role.
Yeah, like, that's what I was going to say. I don't think it's harder to get 50 points in today's NBA at all. I don't think it's remotely harder.
No, I'm saying it's harder to get 50 and win.
Yeah, that's where I agree with you. I definitely think it's infinitely harder to get 50 and win, and do it in a fashion that doesn't make you look like a fucking asshole. And
especially in 2010 against these Celtics, it's harder to get 50 and win.
Yeah,
because look at Wade did it right. He put up 45, but he lost in 5.
Yeah,
like he got the one game, but he didn't really, like. And I think it's gonna.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about this era and about because that's something that this particular era teaches us is the era of having one guy to carry you from a scoring load to get to that point. It was the 07 Bron was the last person to really do that. Some people like to say it was Kawhi in 2019, but even Kawhi had Siakam there. Lowry was there getting up shots. Like, there are more guys on basketball teams now that have more skill, right?
Yeah.
Especially from a shooting standpoint and a scoring standpoint.
Yeah. The only thing that's bad is Siakam and Lowry, like, in 10 years, they're going to look at it as, wow, Kawhi had nothing.
You think? I'm not telling you you're wrong. It depends on if Lowry makes the Hall of Fame, it might not look that way. Lindsay, who do you got? Who do you got between Celtics or Bulls? I want to hear this.
I think I'm gonna go Celtics.
Wow. Why? I swear to God, if you say 3-point shooting, I'm gonna be mad at you.
No, I think it's just like they're close, and then it ends up just being biased because I like Rondo and KG.
Who do you think makes the biggest difference here?
I feel like Rondo makes a big difference, honestly. That dude's fucking crazy, and I like him.
I just think it's the mental toughness of the two teams would be the most interesting.
Yeah,
but again, the hard thing that makes me feel like the Bulls could win this game, it's not as many threes as the Magic. I totally agree that with the Magic situation, it's just too many. If they don't take any threes, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
This team, because of that and because the pace, I always bring up the pace when it comes to this Bulls situation. They're not trying to pick the pace up. They're playing half-court basketball. So that is always going to – I always will say that that's going to help Jordan because of his style of offense. But I agree that it's not going to be like an easy series for either team to win. I think it goes 7. And if you told me the Celtics won in that 7th game, I'd be surprised but not that surprised. And I'd feel the exact same way about the Bulls. Like,
yeah.
I would want to know. I would want to see the box score when the Bulls won. Because if it's Jordan with 45 and then everybody else under 10, I'd be floored.
It's just crazy because, like, so you pretty much are giving Jordan that you would think that they would have a chance of going to 7 strictly because of Jordan. Is that what's?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If it was somebody else in that spot, it'd be way harder to justify.
What I want to know, my burning question is, what minute of this playoff run did Brian Scalabrine play?
Good question. I don't know. but I do. I think that like if you replace Jordan with a less player that couldn't do the things that he could do to the degree that he could do them, I think it would be harder for this team to get out of it. But I said that I was pretty consistent with that through Jordan's entire legacy breakdown. I was like, if he does not put up 30, they are fooped. Big time fooped.
I think he could still put up 30. I just think he's going to be shooting like 46% from the field.
Which is why I was at that point of games with the teams, because I think I agree with that. Like, I think he'll still get his 30, which means they got a shot in any game. Because if Scottie gets his 25.
Because I tell you one thing, he ain't played during that whole 8-year run. He ain't played a defender like Tony Allen. Name me one.
Joe Dumars will be calling you.
No, in that 8-year run, the 8-year stretch of his championships, he did not face a defender. Joe Dumars not in that 8-year stretch. When he did, he had.
He's on the Pistons. Remember, you argued with me that the Pistons are in the 90s?
Oh, the 91. 91. Yep. You're right. Okay, in that one, all right, 1 year out of the 8, sure.
I'm just fucking with you. I only did that because you did that to me with the fucking.
No, because I totally forgot that they faced them in 91. I forgot about that, but
I wonder why. I wonder why you forgot about that. Probably because it's barely the fucking 90s. I get it.
I just completely forgot that some people forget that Jordan's lost. I forget that he won sometimes.
Well, Gary Payton too. Gary Payton's in that conversation. He's a great.
Oh yeah, true. Gary, but look, he shot below averages.
Yeah, facts.
So
we got another Lakers series on our hands, people.
Let's see if this one goes any different.
I got a funny feeling it's not. So assuming the Bulls can get through the East. Some of us feel like they can. Some of us feel like it would be extremely difficult and unlikely. If they are to get through the East, they would be put against the LA Lakers, who went through like hell to get to these NBA Finals, no?
No, not this year.
Not this year? That was last year where it was like that?
Last year they had a 7-game series against Houston, and then they had a 6-game series against the Nuggets. This year they go against Phoenix in 6. They sweep
and
Utah,
the Jazz.
And then they face OKC in the first round.
All right.
It's crazy. I didn't even look at that. I swear to God.
I fucking lived it.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what he averages against the Utah series if you want me to. Yeah, it's like 32, 33 for sure. Look it up, guys.
But
different when this guy's your god. Let's keep on.
Kobe bringing up his scoring from 27 to 29 a game, 29, 6 and 5.5, 46%, making 2 threes a game. It's crazy how all the elite guards have these similar shooting numbers with the 2 threes a game and the mid 40s shooting percentage. I never realized until looking back at it from a statistical standpoint, like they really did play a lot alike, all these guys, and they're just children of MJ. It's really what it is. Like we were looking at Vince Carter and like T-Mac, those guys from.
I really do think that it matters them having to face each other though. I really do. Like being a person who is extremely competitive and had to face when I had to face good people, like you had and it was at a much lower level. Imagine at the highest level where you have guys who are competing with you for that spot, like as the top guard. Like there were legitimate times where people would argue T-Mac was better than Kobe and like vice versa, and Allen Iverson and everything. Like, so I think that really does matter. And then of course, obviously, like the way that the teams are built is just a very inefficient way of playing. But I think that that's what makes me feel like MJ wouldn't be it wouldn't be exactly the same as what he like. I think that the efficiency goes down a little, but that's just my opinion.
I'm not really necessarily against that as much as I'm like, it's still going to be exceptional no matter what era we put him in.
Yeah, he's going to be better than the rest for sure.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to like. It's hard to.
But I just think like let me put this into perspective for you. 47% shooting, right? Yeah. Or 46, whatever. That's literally MJ making 2 more shots than Kobe Bryant. And that's why, so for me, when you tell me he's head and shoulders over him, that's just insane to me. Because I'm like, he made 2 more shots, and you're saying he's whatever. Like, it just, to me, it's just crazy.
It's also because they're put in the exact same position that it's easier to nitpick with those, like, and why.
And nitpicking it's for
not
sure.
Like they were in different offenses. They're literally in the exact same offense. It's a very rare. It's a rare thing. You can't really do it with other players. You know what I mean?
And that's why I say he's better, because you have to say it. Like, there's no way you look at the two and say Kobe's better. But for people, that's why I was just like, yo, I understand I'm a Kobe dick eater, but when it comes to head and shoulders, he's not head and shoulders better than Kobe. He's better than Kobe, just not head and shoulders, in my opinion.
In my opinion,
we shouldn't keep arguing.
No. But the one thing that I'll say, and I think this is very important. I completely agree with literally every word that you're saying about second three-peat Michael and Kobe Bryant. Any point. The first run before he retired, he's infinitely better than that second three-peat run. Infinitely better. That Michael Jordan. You can tell in the way he plays, in what the team's doing, like not necessarily from a winning standpoint, obviously, because the league is diluted and their wins are going through the roof, but in that harder competitive era, he's with the early 90s and the late 80s, like, he's just a savage. And he is the first of his kind in that way. But there's still, like, the Dominique Wilkins of the world. You know what I mean? Like, even guys like in the late 80s, Larry's still kicking and playing pretty well. Different style, but ultimately, dominating in the game in the same way. That's why I think Kobe and Last Dance Michael Jordan are neck and neck, my opinion. But I think Last Dance Michael Jordan and the Michael Jordan we're talking about it's a different thing. My opinion. That's really what I think.
I agree with that. But
and that's where I come from.
Think Kobe, personally, I think Kobe's better than Last Dance Michael.
You know
this Kobe, that's why I think that's where we differ.
Because I would put them on the exact same level in the best ways possible. Like, in all the positive light. Like, not a slight in any way, shape, or form.
No, and I think a lot of people wouldn't think that Kobe was better than that MJ. So that's why I understand that. I'm not arguing it. I just don't. When you say someone's head and shoulders, that to me means when you like this person shits on the other person, and I just don't think that happens.
91 Jordan, I think 91 Jordan shits on Last Dance Jordan, for example. Like, that's how I feel about it, because I think he's that much better. Because in 98. He's like, he doesn't have nearly the same athleticism. He's basically getting on the block and going, which way do you want it? As you've seen him do in the past. And that's...
How much better do you think that Jordan is than 06 Kobe or 09 Kobe?
Last Dance Jordan?
No.
91?
Yeah. And 06 Kobe. Let's go 06, because that's like where a lot of people think Kobe's
peak. That's so hard, because it's like...
I think he benefits from Scottie so much, because I legitimately think if you take 06 Kobe and put him in and take out Michael Jordan and put him in that 91 season, the same thing happens.
I just think that 06 Kobe reminds me of 80s Michael Jordan more than anything, with terms of volume, lack of help, and things like that, where both of them, when they get a second guy, they definitively take their game up. And that could be said for LeBron. We talked about that.
He played well. I mean, it's because of the system they play. The style of play is just different. But once you put them into the system, they take on the system. Well, that's why I think that's the main reason I feel like 06 Kobe, if you put him into because 06 Kobe then becomes 2008 Kobe, which is MVP Kobe. And I think he's better than that 88, 89, whatever Jordan you're talking about, strictly because he's a significantly better shooter. There's not even that Kobe. I'm not, like, all jokes aside, I know I dicky, but that Kobe the jump shooting is so wet and sweet that people who loved pause people who loved Michael Jordan said at that time Kobe Bryant was a better jump shooter than Michael Jordan.
Yeah, no, you're never going to do that. You will not. He is, at any point, you could pick Kobe when he's 20. He's a better 3-point shooter than Michael Jordan at Michael Jordan's apex.
But I'm just talking about jump shooter, like everywhere. Like
I can't prove that to you. I can't. With Kobe, we can literally go through any point in Kobe's career, pull up his shot chart, and go, "You're right." I can't do that with MJ.
But don't we agree that Jordan's shooting was best in that second three-peat versus the...
Oh, I don't think that personally. I think
crazy. But you watched the film, didn't you?
Yes, but it just...
You don't play the same.
You don't get to 990 field goals made by taking dunks all the time. Sorry. It's just not possible.
I understand that, but you do it by... My bad, Lynn.
This is relevant. This is relevant.
You do it by... If you... All right, let's say you have 990, right?
Yeah.
You don't think a third of those were shots, jump shots?
I think more than a third of them were shots.
Oh, no. I don't
but I can't prove it. I can't prove it because I don't have the numerical data. But it's my opinion. Because the same way Kobe, remember we were looking at how close Kobe got? He was at like 800 something.
Okay, so it's double. So he's shooting a third of his shots to the rim.
I'd say it was 50-50 and 91 if I was guessing.
Really? I would think it would. Because what I was saying before, I thought it was 80-20, 70-30. Like, so I could see it being flip-flop.
I think that's how LeBron did it, 100%. I think that's how LeBron was doing it. But I don't think that's how... And I think that's why the comparison gets made.
I'm not mad at even 60-40. I just don't think... when I was watching Jordan, I saw him driving more than shooting. Like,
well, I mean, look, in 92, 93, we literally made a clip on it. I was talking about how that Jordan, who was making creative shots from three at that point, like against the Knicks, he hit those 5-6 threes in the playoffs in a game. And he was starting to get there in that early 90s run, and especially towards 91, the jump, especially because where the triangle would put him, as you know, the elbows and the baseline, like he's going to get his opportunities to do that. And that's why I feel the way I feel. But I wish I could fucking get this for 90-91 would be ideal. So I could literally find out. I would love to be, if I'm wrong, I don't care. But I can't prove whether I'm right or wrong.
And all right, so just to prove my point with Kobe Bryant, because I wanted to explain how Kobe Bryant was a significantly better shooter than Michael Jordan. Could you pull up Kobe Bryant's shot chart this same year, 09, 010, 2010, and look at their percentages compared to each other?
I know he's a better shooter. I'm not disagreeing with that. I never disagreed with that.
So that's why I don't think he's. But like in every aspect besides driving, he's better than Michael Jordan. And at least in 98 and 97.
I think he's a better 3-point shooter, but I would say that they're relatively
he's actually because he's almost 5%. He's shooting 5% better than Jordan from the mid range.
In 98.
Yep. 98, 09, 010. And I think this is actually Kobe towards the end of his peak. Because I think Kobe at his peak is 08 or 09.
I still think he's in his peak at this point, personally.
Look at that. His mid-range game, 48% from the field.
And it's the same thing.
Jordan was shooting 41.
He's still taking double the jump shots here. But see, now who's the one who's nitpicking on 2 percentage points? 43 to 41, right?
No, it's 48 to 41.
48 here, and then, okay.
Yeah, it's 41 compared to 41%. That's like 10. That you can argue that's like what 5-6 shots. That matters when you're watching a game and you see someone make 5 more shots than the other person. That's gonna that makes sense.
But look, I'm looking at the wrong thing. God damn it. Fucking
look at his 10 to 16. He's shooting 41% from the field.
45 and 41 there, and Kobe was 48 and 40. What? 2 seconds.
I'm pretty sure it's like 41.
48 and 43. It's close.
Yeah.
I think it's close.
48.
To say
kill Kobe for shooting 46% from the field and Jordan shooting 51. But then when it's flip-flopped, it's close. That's crazy.
But I don't understand. But
it's because they're both mid-range things, and so you average those out for a general mid-range thing, and so they come out to a very similar thing because 10 to the 3 is a mid-range jump shot. So you're combining both, and if you average both together, in my brain, it's close.
What's a harder shot, a mid-range shot or layup?
That's not what.
No, that matters towards when we talk about field goal percentage and Jordan's
what type of team are you playing about? What type of team are you playing against? Are you playing against a team that has a fucking like Dwight Howard when he's defensive player of the year? Or are you playing against a team that has like perimeter defenders?
No.
That's something that's important too.
I'm talking about overall. We talk about Jordan and Kobe, and we talk about Jordan's efficiency over Kobe. But I'm showing you in a year where Jordan probably shot more efficient.
This isn't fair because I literally can't show you the season I want to show you.
Okay,
that's
so
fine,
can
but
we
I'm showing you a Jordan. He's still shooting.
Just an unfair argument. Like I can't prove to you when where Jordan's shooting is at the part we're actually talking about. So it's not.
So what does Jordan shoot from the entire field in totality in this season?
This 54%.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about in 98. I'm not arguing your point, Russ. That's not what I'm trying to explain to you guys is how the efficiency is skewed, and that doesn't prove to you that he's significantly better than the next player.
Well, because
that's all I'm trying to explain is like.
Yeah, so I'm confused at what you're getting at because I agree with you that he's a better shooter from 3. And the mid-range shooting is equal. Like
46% from the field.
Yeah. It's just tough. My big issue is I literally can't go to this damn shooting page.
Yeah, and I understand that.
Go to. So I can't prove you to nothing.
No, I understand that, but I'm just trying. All I'm trying to show is not if you want to go to 09 or 08 Kobe, where I think that was his best shooting, it would probably be similar. And that's why it's like you can't just say. Then when you start nitpicking even to that point, how can you say head and shoulders? It's just crazy.
Correct. So
because he hit 100 more field goals, like that matters to me.
So back to the series, though. If I'm looking at these two teams, right, and I'm back to the series, I'm comparing them. I think I would, if you're talking about the two main stars, I would probably have MJ and Pippen over Kobe and Pau, right? And so I feel like maybe I'd give like the tiny squeak of the win of the series to the Bulls, but the person who actually worries me the most is Metta World Peace.
Facts.
I was going to bring him up in this series. Yeah.
Honestly, I think this is the only time I've said this in any of the matchups we've talked about so far. I know you're going to get upset. I think fucking Horace Grant might be able to handle Pau. Like this is the type of guy. I said it with Kevin Garnett too. So like I'm being consistent here.
Yeah.
I just think this is the type of guy that Horace Grant throughout his whole career made a living off defending. You know what I mean? Like that was his, because Pau Gasol's a power forward. He's not a center, especially at this point.
Yep.
And I think that slows Pau down, which greatly affects their scoring. Because it's the same. Their teams are built similar in a similar fashion. It's the main scorer at the top has to get 30 to get the job done. And then the guys around him, this team having a little bit more shooting than the Bulls, for sure. But not in comparison to
better defender.
But go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say better defender, Horace Grant or Kevin Garnett and Perkins.
Who and who? I'm sorry, say that again.
Two people, Kevin Durant or Kevin Garnett.
No. Well, I'm saying both because Pau had to deal with both of them in a series. So we can look at Pau's stats against those guys and see how he did. And then we can tell whether we think Horace Grant could do even remotely similar. Because I don't think he's a better defender than either two of those guys.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that. I guess where I'm at is like,
and I think you got a 7-footer that's extremely skilled. That I feel like the Bulls are gonna have I personally have the Bulls in 6, probably 5, depending on how certain things go. But he averaged 19, 12 with 3 blocks
on 48% shooting.
Yeah. I think he can do that same thing against Horace Grant.
Well, I think he's getting blocks.
I think he's actually doing better than that. I think he can do the 20 on Horace Grant. I don't think Horace Grant is anywhere near the defense. Perkins was averaging 2 blocks a game, or a block and a half a game.
I think Horace Grant's a better defender than Kendrick Perkins by a mile. But I think that Kevin Garnett is a better defender historically. But in this season, it's still, I was talking about it when we were talking about the Celtics. Kevin Garnett's 33 years old. Like, there's a reason why when Perkins went down in game 7, that even though Kobe shot like shit in game 7, they still won the game.
Yeah.
Like,
so my biggest reason that I feel like the Bulls would take it in 6, maybe 5, is during this season, Kobe did have a bone spur in his foot, right foot, I think. And that was partially the reason that he played a little bit like shit. But so I think that plus Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan on him throughout this is different than this whole Shaq thing, because you don't really have, like, Powell's he's good, but he's not enough of a force to where it's going to change.
Become double hard. Like, that's the other thing. If Powell was going to be a dominant force where I felt like Horace Grant needed the double team, then maybe I'd feel different. But
what did the Lakers shoot from 3? Because I'm curious about that. The only reason is because we still have Lamar Odom, who's like a very bad Magic Johnson.
I was going to say very bad Michael Jordan.
No, a very bad Magic Johnson, but he can do very similar things that Magic Johnson did.
Former 6th man of the year. I think he's 6th man of the year this year, no? Or the year before?
Yes, he's. I think it's this year.
I'll check real quick. Pretty sure it's this year though. No, Jamal Crawford got it. Fuck.
So it was in 09.
It's one of these years. It's one of these years.
It was in 09.
He's good at getting his triple doubles, for sure, because he was a good passer at the time too.
Yeah.
That guy was unique. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. So is crack.
Yeah.
Something awful.
But I do feel like, because Kobe, he was the engine that made that run, obviously. So if Kobe can't be efficient and do at least get you his 25, 28 points, I think he could still do it, but on significantly less shoot.
That's the thing, is even when I bring up Game 7 again, Kobe still, even though he didn't shoot well, he got on the boards. He had 14 rebounds that game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, just because I think he's not going to be able to shoot well or whatever, or if if Scottie and MJ cuff him to an extent, I think that, I don't know. It comes down to, what did
the Lakers shoot from 3?
That's what I was thinking. I blanked out. I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm curious about that, because I know they weren't the greatest 3-point shooting team, but they could shoot them.
3-pointers attempted, they were top 10 with 19 a game, shooting 34%, which by league rank was 24th. That's crazy. Teams were shooting efficient this season. It's wild.
Yeah.
But as a team, 34%, 6 out of 19. 6.5.
Making anywhere from 6 to 7 threes a game.
It's just taking the triangle and pulling it a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, see, and the 3-point shooting doesn't matter. Because I was thinking what could happen is you get Kobe a little bit, get Kobe off the ball a little bit more, have Lamar Odom running guard a little bit, and then he could start moving the ball, and maybe start getting some of those smaller guys. Like Vujicic was a really good 3-point shooter. Derek Fisher, freaking Ron Artest was a pretty good 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
at certain point, he hit that big 3 against Boston to kind of seal the deal.
Average 1.5 made, shooting 35% on the season.
Yeah. And what did they do in the playoffs?
Playoffs, same thing. 1.5, 29%. You took a lot more, but
yeah.
How did you feel about this guy throughout his run with the Lakers, Ron Artest? Want your opinion? Did you value him? I guess that's as a fan.
Honestly, I feel like I didn't. A lot of people used to swear that he was our best defender, and I really did think it was Kobe. I'm not even trying to be like a dick eater or anything. Yeah. I remember Kevin Durant cooking him, and I was like, I don't understand why. I should have understood that you can't just have Kobe guarding Kevin Durant and then trying to score 30 points a game or whatever. Right. But I really did feel like Kobe guarded KD better than him, and it was so frustrating seeing him play and but when he hit the big three, I guess it all went away. But he was just,
that's really what I'm asking.
He was annoying. I felt like he was not. I'm like, yo, if this guy could do what he did in Houston the year before, because he averaged 20 against the Lakers, or 20 or 25 against the Lakers in that 7-game series the year before,
which is what got him on the team.
Yeah, I'm like, if you could do that, like that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and
I'm asking because I want to know what you think his impact is on this series, because defensively he's going to have to hang with both those guys.
That's one thing that I'm happy about, because I feel like you can switch with Kobe the same way Kobe and Michael
and Scottie,
yeah. But the whole thing is, Ron Artest is gonna get physical as shit with Michael Jordan, and I could totally see it. Like it could get to MJ. Like who has he? Like the only guy that he's faced that's similar to that is Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. The only thing about the
and he's definitely getting Metal World Peace is definitely getting in Scottie's head for sure.
Yeah, Ron Artest at the time, he was on that Baby Bulls team that won like 10 games after post Jordan, which means, and he was in the audience at the Bulls practice when Jordan came back to fuck that rookie up.
Yeah,
and I think I'll try to get the clip on the screen in a minute, but I think he said that with Shannon Sharp, I think he was talking about how strong Michael was and LeBron, and like that's where he would talk about how fucking strong they were, which I thought was interesting because everyone says Ron Artest was one of the strongest people of this era.
Yeah, because I hear a lot of people say you look at him and he was a lot stronger than what he appeared to be.
For sure. Jordan is strong. That's the difference between Jordan and Kobe. R.I.P. Kobe. Jordan, he's almost as strong as like myself and LeBron.
Right.
Not quite.
Right.
But right there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure like the guys that played against him would say the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. You know, nobody ever scored 50 on me. I don't even think anybody ever scored 44. Only like maybe 4 times somebody got 40.
Right.
LeBron might have had 40. So if I compare that, I think Jordan was a little bit better maybe than those guys.
Right.
I think Jordan would have gave me 50 a couple times.
Really?
The reason I say that, because even in my prime, he had 40 against us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When he was old.
Right.
He was old.
Right.
I was an amazing defender.
Right.
And Jordan had 40.
Right.
So I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
Yeah. So if that motherfucker's saying you're strong, you are not weak.
But the whole thing is Ron Artest at a very younger age. You know what I mean? Like, it's not
30. He's not super young for basketball.
No. I'm saying when he thought Jordan was strong, he was
that's
a rookie. You know, he was younger. Like he was so like this is not Ron Artest. Like I'm sure he probably wouldn't have thought the same thing if he was in the Pacers. You know what I mean? Like
comes and he's being competitive, but he did. Those are cool stories when he did face Jordan on the Wizards with the Pacers. There are good stories about that too. But I think I'm taking Lakers
to lose.
No, I think I'm going to take them in 7.
What?
I watched Kobe Bryant suck. Like worst game he's ever played in his life in Game 7. They still beat my Celtics. Pissed me the fuck off.
But all right, so
it's good.
This is fun. Your
2010 team is very good. Kobe 6 of 24 for the game in Game 7. 23 points on 24 shots. They still won by 4 points, and they made a comeback.
Yo, let's not forget those 15 rebounds, boy. Let's not I hear how you try to make.
We should have had this fucking Game 1.
Yeah,
we should have had this Game 1. All of our fucking starters are in double figures, including Rasheed Wallace. And
Kobe just that's why, and that's why I don't like your disrespect against Kobe, because he broke your heart, nigga. Like that's what, like he broke your heart. Like you should have due respect.
We broke his first. That's what matters.
Nah, okay. We broke your heart more. Y'all never even touched that shit again. Y'all never sniff it. We at least went to the second round the next year. Y'all ain't even y'all look like dirt bags next year. So I don't want to. But this crazy. What's crazy and annoying to me is this always happens where you start like cock eating Kobe and shitting on him, and then you go and pick him. And I don't like that you do that, because I'm over here like there's no way. I don't see the Bulls. I don't think the Bulls lose this series, to be honest.
Why?
Like to me, it's it's
19.
It's like a
in Game 7.
Like
still inefficient.
It's like just because I think the Celtics and Magic will beat those Bulls, it's a different fight they have to have. Like you got Pau Gasol, who is a decent big man, but you're gonna have two guys that can guard Kobe well enough to where he's gonna become less efficient, especially where I think that foot is an issue, especially when you're going against a Michael Jordan.
I mean, he played well the rest of the series though for Kobe. Like in this Celtics series, he averaged 28 a game. Like played really well. That's
Tony Allen guarded him too, right? Throughout that series.
At certain points, Tony Allen didn't start, but
he was on his ass.
That's why I can't say that Tony Allen's one of the greatest defenders to ever play, because especially on the Celtics, he didn't start, and like with Memphis, they ultimately never really won anything. Like a lot of these great,
but he's a lockdown defender though. Like
but a lot of these greatest defenders of all time have rings. They just do. Like it's just hard, and he didn't.
He wasn't on the 08 Celtics.
I mean, he was, but like he's not. I don't consider him one of the 5 biggest players on that team. Like that starting 5 is.
But no one's
actually. I don't think he was on that team in Boston. Come to think about it, I think he made it after that point. Yeah, I'm pretty. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I'll double check.
Yeah, double check. Yeah,
but no, he was on there. He was on there. But
how many minutes?
Not playing that.
I'm sure
much.
He was like a
role player to the max.
Yeah,
fucking like 20 minutes a game or less. Tony Allen. Oh, those are totals. Tony Allen, 18 minutes a game. So only started 11 games that season. Like, I'm not telling you he's.
No, what did he do in the playoffs?
I watched that guy guard Kevin Durant. Like,
because I was curious to know what he played in the finals.
Yeah.
Like maybe he played.
No, because he played. He was one of their elite guys off the bench. I know that for a fact. But I'm just saying, like, when we put him against like the Dennis Rodmans and like even Green, like we've had that argument on this show before, and it's just like it's.
Wait,
tough.
you think Draymond is a better defender than Tony Allen?
I think Draymond has a better resume than Tony Allen, especially defensively. Like he just does.
Yeah.
I think he'll go down in history as a better defender when it's all said and done.
Yeah. See, and that's the because so I was on like that Facebook group, right? Yeah. And I was telling this dude because he was talking about. He said Kevin Durant is a top 3 player all time, and obviously,
I saw that. I think I saw exactly what you were.
He was drunk, and I told him, "Do you mean a top 3 like talent, or you mean like with accolades and everything?" Yeah. And he tells me what's the difference.
Yeah.
And I go and tell him that's a huge difference between the two because that's that. Like Tony Allen could probably be a better defender than Draymond Green. If you like, that's when I'm talking about you on the court. Yeah. This dude's guarding you and this dude's guarding you. Who do you feel like is going to lock you up more? I feel like I'd probably want to deal with Draymond more than Tony Allen personally. It
just depends on your situation. Like I'm sure
exactly.
Shaq would say, "Please give me Tony Allen."
Yeah, but I'm talking about like Kobe. Kobe would rather Draymond guard him than Tony Allen, in my opinion. I think Kobe would cook Draymond.
Wish we could ask him.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
I'm
a terrible person.
Okay, so Dario,
you already got me mad as hell.
I'm taking Lakers in 7.
I got Bulls in 6.
Bulls in 7.
You got Bulls in 7. Why you have Bulls in 7?
Because I think it'll be really close, but I'm gonna pick the Bulls.
Jordan is just.
Oh wait, time out. If it goes 7, the Lakers is winning. Because
I think so too.
Kobe's clutcher.
Oh man,
especially this Kobe.
Let's turn off.
No, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done. This is
a future Russell. I ain't see MJ hit 7 straight, 7 game winners in a season. Come on, get out of here.
No. Bye.
I didn't show this cock.